You're listening to Sailing to Success podcast show, where we share practical tips and strategies to help you be more productive, boost your profits, and grow your business. Hey there, I'm Lindsay Phillips, founder of Smooth Sailing Business Growth, and I'll be your host and captain for this 30-minute excursion. Today, I'll be chatting with Pinterest expert, Summer Tannhauser. She has actually changed my way of thinking about Pinterest by sharing the myths, the do's and don'ts of Pinterest marketing, and how it can really generate more traffic to your site and create more passive income. So let's get started, folks. Hey everyone, again, it's Lindsay here, and I'm going to be chatting with Summer Tannhauser. She teaches online entrepreneurs and bloggers how to increase their audience, their influence, and revenue through the power of Pinterest and passive income strategies. And I haven't really talked about Pinterest yet on my podcast, so I'm totally stoked about this. Now, Summer believes in creating a live more, work less business model. Ditto, by utilizing the powerful combination of Pinterest and blogging strategy to grow your email list, increase traffic, and obviously ultimately create more revenue for your business. So thank you so much for joining us. You're our first Pinterest expert.
Yay. Thanks, Lindsay, for having me. And yes, I'm excited because I feel like it's one of those things that a lot of people might be like, oh yeah, that sounds great, I should do that, but maybe don't know the steps that they should take to get started. So we can definitely talk about all that today.
Totally. And I really like your story because I resonate with it. So you were saying that your business was kind of, like a side hustle while you had another job, which I've been there. But then they kind of grew and you kind of ditched the full-time job. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I've been an entrepreneur now for almost 9 years. I'm kind of a serial entrepreneur, and I think that's okay though, because you're trying to find what you love and what you want to do. So I was a elementary school teacher coming out of college, and that was what I was trained in. And pretty quickly, a couple years in, I realized that it wasn't what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I liked kids, but I more so wanted to be a mom versus teaching other kids. So I realized that quickly. And so as a teacher, I had, summers kind of to myself, being able to explore other passions. And I actually first got started by starting a local business, which I still run today pretty much as a pretty much hands-off in most ways business. It's a pet sitting and dog walking company, and we have a team of basically 15 employees that run it. And that is kind of like always running in the background for me. So I normally need to devote maybe an hour or so to that business each day, but that definitely provides me a full-time income from that business and allowed me to then pursue my other passions kind of in the online space and the marketing world, because I got a taste of marketing from my local business. And I realized that even more so than providing the service, which is how I started out, that I loved the side of it where I'm marketing and bringing in new clients and figuring out how to leverage the online space and blogging and, all these other things. And so that was really the foundation of where I found that love, found the love for just business in general. I didn't have any background in that, so I didn't know I would like it. But that kind of gave me the board for jumping off and realizing this was a passion of mine.
That's awesome. And not many people, especially I find, not to stereotype or anything, but people in the teaching sphere aren't necessarily entrepreneurial. Do you know what I mean? So for you to kind of go off into those directions, and then also to take that even further, a lot of business owners love their business that they're in their industry, but they don't necessarily love the marketing end of things. So the fact that you've gone through those, 3 different channels and you're making it all work and you have passion for all of those, that's awesome.
Yeah, I guess I went kind of the opposite way because, I started out, the reason I got into my local business and opened it is because I was like, hey, I like pets. I have summers off. I have holidays off from teaching. I can, take care of pets and just make a little side income. And I, a little extra fun money to spend. And I didn't have kids at that point. It was just me and my husband. And I figured, why not? Let's do this. And, it kind of grew into its own own beast, as I call it. And it definitely, had some growing pains along the years. And I mean, still issues come up, but I've gotten it to a point where, it does allow me that freedom and flexibility, which of course I'm filling with other entrepreneurial pursuits now. That's just the entrepreneur. That's right. I mean,
and that is awesome. That is key. So let's dive into your expertise. And sure. I know a lot of people have myths about Pinterest, and, I'm included. When I think of Pinterest, and I'm sure many other people do, I think of like DIY, that only women look on Pinterest, that it's, just crafts and making your house look pretty.
Yeah.
And I still, I know there are entrepreneurs in that space, but I still have that in my head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So that's definitely common to think it's just for, as you said, kind of crafts and recipes and decorating. And you can definitely be successful if that is the area of your business on Pinterest, but there's just so much more out there as well that you can be as successful with as well. So I like to look at it as a way to explore content, because people use Pinterest like a search engine, and it is a search engine, right? It's as if you were going to Google and typing in something that you wanted to learn about. So they're going to go to Pinterest and type in these different topics that they want to know more information about. And so if you're providing content on your website or your blog or whatever it is that directly relates to your business and gives them a reason to see your pin and see the value you have there, it's an amazing way to get traffic back to your website of people that are actually interested in what you're doing.
And that's so true. And honestly, it's like I've gotten into Pinterest maybe the past few months, but again, it's more for personal use. I don't even think I've looked at it for business use, to be honest. But I was really impressed with the searching features. Like you said, it's to be able to search for what you're interested in. And then it even breaks it down. Like, here's some subcategories that you might be able to refine your search with. And I'm like, well, that's super helpful. And then it's like, to see the other topics that are closely related, you're like, ooh, I'm going to click on that one and see what's there.
Yeah. And Pinterest does a great job of that. And, that's even helpful from the business and marketing side too, because I'm very focused on keyword strategy and kind of SEO strategy when it comes to Pinterest. So one of the, kind of expert tips that I give people is when they're thinking about the keywords that they want to be using in their profile and on their boards and on their pins on Pinterest, you can actually go up to the Pinterest search bar and type in the main topic that you're speaking about. So whether it be the topic of your business or the topic of a blog article that you plan to promote, or just whatever it is, basically your niche, you can type that into the search bar, search for it, and then actually see what keyword boxes show up directly underneath the search bar, because Pinterest is telling you in real time what keywords related to what you searched for are currently the most popular on Pinterest. And so that's a great way to find keywords for you to use and to kind of shape your Pinterest strategy.
That's huge. Now, I know with YouTube, you can put in, a bunch of tags, and obviously with Google and SEO, you have one keyword phrase. How is it different in Pinterest? Do you put in multiple keywords, or is it pretty specific, or is it a keyword phrase?
Yeah, so you're going to use the keywords in different locations. So you'll use it in your profile description, your business name on Pinterest, your board names. And then for your pins, you are going to have a chance to write a description for the pin, and that's going to be another spot to use the keywords. Now, Pinterest has made some changes to their platform over the last several months, and they seem to be continuing to make changes, and they are moving more towards a visual-only platform and taking away some of that text that is being shown. So I used to encourage people to have a quite in-depth description, but now I'm actually taking that back and encouraging more so whether be very keyword focused and either one sentence and have your keywords towards the beginning if possible, or actually just listing some keywords. And I've tested both ways, and I seem to be getting about similar results on my pins based on which way I do it. But I just know that currently I'm needing to focus more on the visual aspect because that's the direction Pinterest seems to be going.
Interesting. And speaking of the visuals, are there do's and, I mean, I've seen so many, a lot of them seem to be like collages, you know, they look like infographics that are a little bit more complex, I guess, or more work involved than, you know, your typical graphic that you see on social media. Are there specific do's and don'ts?
Yeah, so I like for everybody to get started with their describing what they are creating, what I call your graphic template. So basically creating one style of graphic that you can use as a template for all of your blog posts or your content or your podcast episodes or, you know, whatever it is you're doing, having that one template. And I create mine on Canva. You know, it's a free program. It's easy to edit. Yeah, it's great if you're not a graphic designer by trade and don't need, you know, a big paid program. And so I've got my template created in there. And so when I want to make a new blog post image, all I have to do is I take out the background image, I put in a new one that relates, I change the title, maybe I, you know, move a little something around, you know, change a color or something. But in general, it takes me about 10 minutes to make a new blog image because of that template created. So that's kind of like the first step and way to get started. And that's a great way to do it. And, you know, you can definitely play with those other styles you've been talking about. You know, if you've got kind of like a step-by-step process, you can actually show the 6 steps right on this graphic. You can create an infographic of your own. Canva actually has some really nice templates in there that you can use. And so you can actually, you know, just insert images into. But if you're just getting started, I just suggest getting that blog template graphic made first.
So it's not so overwhelming.
Yeah, definitely. And that's going to be your main piece of content anyway that you're using to drive traffic to your blog. And then you can play around with that other stuff, you know, when you have time or you want to.
For sure. Now, when you are starting out, and I mean, you need to create boards to put the pins in. Are there any recommendations when creating those boards? I mean, some people only have a few and there's a lot of stuff in it, or some people have, you know, a bazillion boards. Does it matter?
So I like to say that, you know, if you're kind of starting from scratch and you're thinking, what's the minimum I need? I like to see a minimum of around 12 to 15 boards just to make it look like it's a complete profile. Right. Because if you have less than about 10 boards, I mean, 10 would probably be my very minimum. If you have fewer than 10 boards on your profile, it just doesn't feel complete. It feels like you started working on it and you didn't finish or something. So you know, having just at least 10, you know, going more towards 15 is ideal. And you can get started with as few as 20 pins in each board. So just sit down one day, you know, take an hour, take a couple hours to do that and just get them filled out with some pins in there. You know, not even necessarily your own content if you haven't created your stuff yet, but just get it done, get them filled and get it like a solid profile. You know, I don't recommend going above 50 boards unless you have thousands upon thousands of followers already. I feel like the more followers you have, the more boards you can support. But also don't feel like you have to have, you know, 50 plus boards, even if you do have thousands of followers. It's not like it's a must, but I'm saying, you know, some people do like to have more boards. So just be careful with how many you're having kind of in, you know, depending on how many followers you have.
That makes sense. And are there like, do we need to have call to actions to get people to follow us? Or I haven't really seen that much when I'm in there. But I mean, it's kind of like YouTube, right? Where you want people to subscribe. So you want people to follow. So what are some recommendations for that?
Yeah, so I think mostly you would be doing that on your content versus in your Pinterest profile.
Right.
The majority of time, people are going to be finding your individual pins and then potentially making it to your profile, or they may never even make it to your profile, right? They may just find your pin, whether it's something they're searching for, or it just shows up on their Pinterest smart feed, their homepage, and they go ahead and click through to your website. So on your website or on your piece of content that you're promoting there, that's where I would have more of kind of like the calls to action. You could have a Pinterest widget in your sidebar as one option that says like follow me and show some of your most recent pins. That's one way. You can have your Pinterest optimized image directly in your piece of content, and even put a phrase like pin me for later or something like that under it, so people understand, oh, I can pin this and save it for later on Pinterest. So, just some little things like that are going to be your best option for increasing followers and pins through your own current audience that you have maybe on your blog or wherever you're promoting them to.
Right. That's a good idea. And so we were talking about, keywords and SEO and what have you. What are the analytics like in Pinterest?
There's some really good analytics, actually. And so I use both Pinterest analytics as well as I personally use a scheduling program, and it has some great analytics as well. But you can find out a lot just from Pinterest analytics. You're going to want to make sure you've confirmed your website with Pinterest. And on WordPress, it can be as easy as uploading a certain plugin and doing that. If you've got, a lot of the blogging platforms have an automatic connection. So you just have to, flip a setting and it's going to do it for you. But as long as you've confirmed your website, then, you can get analytics on the most popular pins, which ones are getting the most back to your website, which ones are showing up the most, which of your boards are doing the best. And you can really use that to inform your strategy, analyze which of your pins are doing well. Are they on similar topics? Do they have a graphic that's similar? So there's a ton of information you can look at in there.
Awesome. And I know some like Hootsuite, Social Champ, and so forth. I know a lot of them don't necessarily post direct to Instagram. And that was my understanding for Pinterest as well. Is that a myth?
Actually, it's different for Pinterest. Pinterest has specific what they call API partners. Yep. And so they actually have certain scheduling programs that they have pretty much approved. Right. Now, there actually are other programs that are not API partners, but are still allowed to, but still do post to Pinterest. I'm not sure what the whole, they've been around for a while and haven't been shut down or anything like that. So I'm not sure about all the legal side of that. But like, for example, I use Tailwind, and I know that they're an API partner with Pinterest. So it just makes me feel very comfortable that when I'm scheduling through them that, Pinterest is okay with what I'm doing and isn't going to penalize me or shut me down or anything like that. So it's definitely a bit different than Instagram. I know Instagram, is very, very strict with all that type of thing. And Pinterest now, if you're trying to do some kind of like bot or something like that, that's, automating everything, now you could get shut down for using that type of thing. Right. But they've told you there are certain programs they approve, and so you can feel pretty comfortable doing that.
Yeah, that's cool. And obviously there's Facebook ads and Twitter cards and YouTube ads. Yes. Pinterest have advertising as well?
They do. They have something called promoted pins is kind of the common name for it.
And like boosting?
Yeah, and they've and it's come a long way, I will tell you. It used to be a very minimal kind of option, very few things that you could target, and it's not perfect yet. It still has a way to go. If you're used to maybe Facebook ads or something like that, and all the intricate options and targeting and analytics to that, you're not going to see that in Pinterest quite yet. Yeah. But they are focusing more on it as an ad platform and being able to attract more people to that. So they have started doing things where you can actually upload your email list to the platform and then, send pins directly to those people on your list and, just a variety of things like that. So they are starting to add those different capabilities to it.
Right. Now, here's a question for you. So And I guess it's because I still have that mindset where it's just women wanting to decorate their houses. But it's like, how do you know if your target market or your avatar is searching in Pinterest for what it is that you offer and the topics that you cover?
Yeah. So honestly, there are very few topics or niches or industries where I would be like, nope, don't think Pinterest is a good fit for you. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like in the way where you're like, so is Google not a good fit for someone? Are people really not searching on Google, or are people really not searching on YouTube for anything? With that said, Pinterest is still working to gain its male population. Mm-hmm. It is definitely growing in percentages every year and becoming more something that they do. But that would be something I would still look at. If you have a primarily male audience, then it may not be the ideal place for you yet, but it's going in that direction. So it's just something to think about there. As well as there are, depending on trying to target international audiences. So different countries actually have a specific platform for Pinterest platform for their country. So it gets a little interesting if you're in a different country and trying to reach people, say in the US. So you just have to be careful there, depending on where your audience is.
Right. Yeah. I totally didn't realize that at all. Now, obviously you love Pinterest and you teach people about Pinterest and passive income. So obviously before you go, I want to touch upon, your description of passive income and how that ties into Pinterest.
Yeah. So for me, what I think the most important thing to understand is that Pinterest is a traffic driver, right? So its main thing it's going to do for you is it's going to get traffic to your website, to blog articles, to your content you're producing, whatever it may be. It could even be sending people directly to your YouTube videos, wherever you're wanting them to land. And so you've got to understand that people on Pinterest are looking for value and looking for content. So I'm not going to go to Pinterest and put a sales page pin up there or try to sell them something directly in most cases. Right. Now, if you're a product-based business, you can get away with that a little bit better. Yeah. But if you're kind of in the content marketing, blogging, freelancing space, your first focus should be providing value. So you're trying to use Pinterest as a way to get people to your content that relates to your business in a way that's then going to convert those people into customers. So, for me, I think about, what am I doing to get people from Pinterest to my content? And then I'm specifically looking at my content, the pages that they're landing on, and I'm saying, how can I optimize this better to whether it is, get people to my paid product, get people to my email list sequence to opt in, get to like my tripwire product, whatever it is I'm trying to lead them to. So I'm very strategic on not only Pinterest side, but also that page they're being sent to, and making sure I'm optimizing it for list building or conversions or anything I can for that Pinterest traffic to convert into those sales and clients and leads.
Yeah, that's good advice. And yeah, I guess if you just think of it as a traffic driver, I mean, that's the whole point, and that's the point of content marketing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And, and you can do things like, Pinterest does allow affiliate links and things like that on the platform. But in my experience, and from what I understand from others, is you're going to have so much more success if you use it just to drive the traffic to your blog or website, and then do everything that you need to do on your website with, affiliate links or sales links or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now, are there any, flashing warnings of things that we should not do with Pinterest?
I think the biggest one, and the one that I have to combat the most, is just, that mindset that, I'm going to create sales with Pinterest, and you are with the Pinterest traffic, but you're not going to get them to convert on Pinterest. They're more than likely, unless you're that product-based business that maybe has a smaller product, they're not as many people, even though they have these things, where Pinterest is trying to get this to happen. They're trying to get people to shop, directly on the Pinterest platform.
Wow.
They even have something called buyable pins, where it's basically like they're encouraging people to buy something right there.
Oh, really?
Even with encouraging that, and even Pinterest doing that, people still aren't converting as much as they want that to. So it's just not working. Same thing with people trying to post like videos directly to Pinterest. Pinterest is trying to increase its video traffic, but I still do not feel like it's the best use of Pinterest. You want that Pinterest optimized graphic. That's going to be, your key there. And then you can use that graphic to lead to anything, to a video, to a podcast, to a blog post, but just get your graphic created and don't try to use the platform in a way that it wasn't meant to be used.
Yeah. That's good advice. And as you were saying, where the focus is the graphic, I've seen some where there's a lot of text on the graphic and some where there's none. Is there any rule of thumb?
Yeah, so if you're using Pinterest in kind of the way I'm recommending, where you're driving people to content in the most of the time, then you are definitely going to want text on your graphic, because the way I look at it is I've got my nice graphic image probably in the background or something eye-catching, and that's what's going to initially get that person to stop and pay attention. But that graphic is likely not going to be what gets them to click through, especially if I'm leading them to a blog post or a piece of content. Right. What's going to get them to click through is some text on there that really draws them in. So, I spend some time thinking about the text overlay I'm putting on there, just as if you were writing an email and you're thinking about, the subject line, or a blog post and you're thinking about the title. You're trying to get strategic in writing it in a way that's going to encourage people to click through. So, yes, that text is very important, but, so is the image to grab their attention. So you've got to have kind of both things there.
That's true. Kind of grab their attention, but also give them the hook to click.
Yes, exactly.
Perfect. Well, you have given us some awesome advice. I know, again, guilty. I've never really considered Pinterest. For my line of business anyways, I always thought it was more for people that are product based or, but it's just those myths and those, wrong beliefs. I now admit it. Definitely.
Yes. No, service providers and content creators are doing really well on Pinterest. So definitely a myth that it's only for the product-based businesses.
Yes. Well, you've changed my mind, Summer.
I love it. Yay.
Now I'm going to have to go into it.
Right. Another convert.
I know, but it does look fun. Like even when I'm on it, it's, I guess because it is so visual and I love the layout of the boards and the pins, for me, it attracts my attention much more so than a typical like feed on another social media platform. And you're right. It's so information based. The amount of information you can get in there and search is like ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's one of the initial appeals to people, that a lot of people are like, oh, well, I enjoy using Pinterest in my personal life. It's something I'm already on. So if I'm able to use this for my business, why not use a platform that I'm already enjoying using? Yeah. And that's just an added bonus then, that it can actually help to market my business and bring in, more sales or more clients.
Yeah. That's true. Now, I know you also offer a 5-day Pinterest course. I would love for you to share that with me.
Yes, definitely.
Out, but obviously share it with our listeners as well, so they can check it out and dive into Pinterest with me.
Yeah, sure thing. So it's a completely free to opt into and go through. It's 5 days of content, and you can find it at the URL freepincourse.com. And I go through a ton in there. I talk about how to set up your profile strategically. I talk about exactly what boards you're going to want to create based on your business and your industry. We do look at the graphics that we talked a little bit about today, so you can see some real examples and and get some options for creating that template. And then we bust even some more myths. You heard a couple we talked about today, and we really go through a lot of that in the course and making sure you really do understand how to use it versus just having it as your kind of personal for fun platform. So whether you're brand new to Pinterest or you've kind of gotten a start but don't feel like you're seeing the traction yet, I think it can definitely help both people.
Absolutely. And it's like, if you are starting, then start it the right way and not just wing it. Because that's not gonna work.
Yeah. And, and that's a good point, because I will say Pinterest is one of those things that if you will take, just a little time to learn it strategically from the start and set it up strategically, it's going to take just a little bit of time to do that at the beginning. But if you'll do that, then it's really easy to what I call like feed the machine for the future. So, it's a traffic machine, and all you have to do is, whether it's manual pinning or getting one of those Pinterest scheduling programs, once you've got it set up, you just keep feeding it with pins every week, and it's going to keep working for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know, of course, you're the Lady Boss League, which I think is totally jam. How can people get a hold of you in other ways besides checking out the course?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm pretty much on any social media platform. My username or handle is Lady Boss League. So really easy to find me. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the main ones there. Pinterest, of course. And you can find me under Lady Boss League on any of those.
That's awesome. As a side note, how did you come up with that name?
Gosh, it was one of those things that I just had to make a decision, and I just went with it. You know what I mean? And then you're kind of like, okay, well, I guess I like it enough to keep going with it. But, it's kind of one of those split second things where you're like, as you're getting started, you just have to go with something, and I went with that, and now I'm kind of known for it.
Yeah, I love it. Lady Boss. Sounds hardcore.
I love it.
Awesome. Well, you have converted me, lady, so I'm sure you've converted others. And Pinterest is a viable place to go to help market your business and drive traffic to your website. So pay attention, people, and go get that free Pinterest course. So thank you so much for joining me and, giving us food for thought and some amazing tips on how to get started, especially with the pictures and learning about SEO. You've given us some great insight.
Thank you, Lindsay. It was great being here.
Awesome. So that is it for today's episode of Sailing to Success podcast, folks. You, of course, can check out this episode at lindsayphillips.com or my services site, which is smoothbusinessgrowth.com, and check out my videos and blogs. And if you are looking for help in the content marketing arena and social media, definitely go to my Start Here page and check out our services. Again, that's smoothbusinessgrowth.com. So until next time, folks, have a profitable and productive week, and may the winds always be at your back.